My next guest is a familiar face. He's been here in the studio before, and he's had a lot to say about recent news. Former State Rep Joe Trillo, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center.
How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. Let's talk right to the folks here because you sent the release out yesterday about your thoughts about everything going on with Trump and the NFL.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate our president. I think what he has attempted to do needed to be done a long time ago, and that's to stop the political correctness that's gone to the nth degree. When we don't honor the national anthem and we don't stand for it, or we do anything in it that's disruptive, we're sending a message that we don't stand up for this country. We don't stand up for all the people who fought and died for this country. And I think that's a sad statement for these NFL players to be giving to their fans, to say the least, about the fact that I would say 90% of their fans are upset with their activity.
Don't sneak out. Come a little bit closer over here. I want to ask you, because I'm sure you've heard a lot of reaction to when you put that statement out, both folks in support and folks in opposition. So let's go down some of those sort of arguments that are made to you. The first, that they, veterans have allowed these folks the opportunity to protest in this manner. What do you say to folks that say they've got the right to protest?
Well, I think everybody has the right to protest. I'm not questioning that. But there are a few things that are kind of sacred that you shouldn't protest, like you shouldn't protest in a church. You shouldn't protest when the national anthem is being played. There's very few places. You have about 1 million places you can protest. Just don't protest here. That's my message.
So what's the reaction been since when you put that out yesterday?
Well, you hear people saying one of the arguments is that this is about the fact that the blacks have not been treated fairly in this country. Whether you believe that or whether you don't believe it, I don't think is the issue. Again, if you want to protest that, I think you should protest it. I think you should form an organization, do whatever you want to do. These NFL players make millions of dollars every year. But you shouldn't force me to have to listen to your political views when I go out to be entertained with you in a football game. Just play ball. Quite frankly, I don't care where you stand politically on issues.
I think we've had this conversation. The last time you were in was about entertainers, and I believe it was pertaining to Hamilton.
It was about Hamilton. I thought people should be very upset with them getting, again, you go in, you buy a ticket to a theater, you sit down, and all of a sudden people are going to give you their political views. This is not a political rally. This is not a rally for anything other than why I paid to come here. Now, if you want to say, I'm going to have a football game, the Patriots are going to play tonight, and it's going to be free to everybody, but you have to listen to my political views, now I have a choice. When I turn on the television, I can't watch late night television anymore. I used to watch Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. I can't watch these people because of their political views. So I skip right by those channels all the time. What they are doing with all this protesting, that the NFL, the entertainers, they're hurting their viewers, their listeners. The people who make them make money, they're biting. Why would you do that?
So what do you have to say with what happened last night? Jerry Jones, the Cowboys, kind of took the middle of the road, took a knee before the national anthem, stood up during the national anthem. What was your response?
Well, my response is that it's obviously better than doing it during the national anthem. I don't want to see protesting of any sorts at any event that you charge me to go to. That's my message. And there's no exceptions to the rule. I don't care where it is. If I'm watching television, I have the ability to turn the channel. But if I paid $90 to go to a football game, to see a football game, guess what? Get on the field, play the game, win the game, and I don't care where you stand politically.
Do you think this is going to have an impact on the bottom line of the NFL?
Oh, I hope it does. I so hope it does, because, that's the only way. It's unfortunate in this country that people get the message. They get the message when it affects their bottom line. I think if these players and the owners haven't already got the message, I think the message is coming.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening next Sunday. You put the release out yesterday from the Trillo for Governor campaign
True.
came out. Looking at 18, you're out there talking with folks. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing a lot of positive things. I mean, I'm out talking to people, I'm making the rounds, I'm looking for support in a variety of different ways. We just put a website up at friendsofjoetrillo.com, which is active now. I mean, it's still got a long way to go, but we're moving forward with a lot of things. I'm bringing people on board that can help me in different areas of the campaign. But we're going to just take it step by step, and that's what we're doing, and see where the next step leads.
So who's the kitchen cabinet right now?
I can't give you any information.
That's on a need to
Mum's
know
the
basis.
word. But let me tell you something. My kitchen cabinet is so talented that if we formed a political consulting group, we could charge a lot of money for that group.
And I'm assuming kitchen cabinet house fundraising going?
Fundraising is going good. Yeah, this is the first quarter that we've done any fundraising, and we'll have that in our quarterly report.
Well, I've got the date circled on my calendar here, keeping tabs on all of the candidates. Let's talk a little bit about what the field might look like. What are going to be the differentiating factors on the Republican side in the gubernatorial primary this year?
Well, on the Republican side, we may have the mayor of Cranston, we may have a state rep, and we may have me. I'm very different from everybody. First of all, I'm not politically correct. I'm not going to say everything to make everybody happy. I don't ride the middle of the fence politically on issues. You ask me a question, I tell you where I stand. I support Donald Trump as president. I was the honorary chairman of his campaign, as you know. So I'm not typical. And then in the other ways, I've been a lifelong businessman for over 50 years. I've started 5 different companies from scratch. I know what it is to run an operation. I know what it is to make a payroll. None of these people know what that is. And you take that and put the 16 years of a political experience that I had in the State House, which is different than local political experience. I know how the State House works. I know what goes on behind the scenes in the State House. I know the players that actually manipulate all the people that are elected. I know who they are. So my learning curve is going to be 0. I hit the ground running from day one. And there's a lot of things that I want to do.
Okay, talk with us. You're going out, you're giving your stump speech. People are probably asking you the same question I asked about what differentiates you. So what are you looking to accomplish as governor?
Oh, so many things. The first thing I would do is I want to shed this image that this governor and the mayor of the city of Providence has put on the state, and that is being a sanctuary state. If we're ever going to get businesses to come to Rhode Island, we need to shed that image. Everything that we do business-wise needs to be in consideration for raising us out of the bottom 5, the bottom 10 business ratings. Now, people say, well, what do I care? I have a job. I'm satisfied with my job. You don't understand. Once more business comes to Rhode Island, because it's a place that's business friendly, you may not get a job with the new business that comes here, but your job is going to be worth more money, because as the employee pool dries up, it makes everybody's worth more. So today you may be making $15 or $20 an hour. If the employment pool dries up, with your skill set, you may be demanding $30 an hour. So it's all about making the state succeed financially. This is something that politicians just don't understand. They really believe that business is a place where you go to get money and tax dollars and make it as difficult for people to do business as possible. The other thing I would do is I would reform regulations. You know, regulations are killing businesses across the country. We have more businesses in Rhode Island that are killed by regulations, I think, than any other state. There's no statistic on it, but if you try to start a business and you raise your hand to government and say, government, I'm here, how can you help me start a business? Well, they reach behind their desk, they get a baseball bat, and they hit you over the head. And that's the way, that's the image of starting a business in Rhode Island.
How would you take a look at, say, Commerce RI versus how it's currently utilized by Governor Raimondo?
Well, first of all, everything Governor Raimondo does is political. It's about her getting reelected. So she's out there giving away $40 million worth of land. You know, they're having this big celebration about how great it is. We're bringing this building in, and it's going to generate 1,000 jobs. And when you look into the fine print of the 1,000 jobs, in Go Local had a great article on that subject, and I would suggest people go and read it, where it broke it down point by point by point. You realize that this is a fictitious number, and we're going to spend $40 million to bring in these jobs. And we'll be lucky if we bring in 200 jobs. We would be better off creating the jobs, sweeping streets, and pay the people out of the $40 million. We probably could pay them for 20 years.
Speaking of bringing in, because you were the campaign chair for Donald Trump, would you try to get the president here to campaign for you?
I would. I would love to get the president here to campaign for me. If I couldn't get him, I'd love to get one of his children. You know, I've become friendly, to sort of speak, with Eric, and I think that he would be. I'd love to have Eric come to the state. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, Rhode Island is so not on the national list of anything other than we're a blue state. We're sinking faster than a ship that's got holes in it could sink. And why would the president or any of the national Republicans waste their time in Rhode Island?
Well, I wanted to have you in again in response to what you put out yesterday that you can see on Go Local, your statement. Again, final statement on that. When people say, Joe doesn't know what he's talking about, what do you say to them?
Well, I don't always know what I'm talking about. But in this particular case, I really believe that the majority of people are seriously offended when they see sports figures take a knee or do anything during the national anthem. I think that's a big slap in the face to their fans in the stands, and they need to readdress how they do this, because I think it's going to eventually hurt their bottom line. I certainly hope it does.
Well, I appreciate your taking the time to come
Thank
in.
you.
You send the statement out. I want to bring you in here, talk with you for a little bit. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right.
Joe
Nice
Trillo,
talking to you.
I'll let you go off to
Thank
the
you.
tasks at hand. Okay, former state rep Joe Trillo has Friends of Joe Trillo already up on the web, been out fundraising, released a statement yesterday regarding the situation with the NFL and players taking a knee. He had his vantage point that he wanted to get out, and we wanted him here in the studio to discuss that with him.